I'm gonna spark this up. I'm gonna go through this anxiety or whatever I'm gonna go through for my homie George. And shame on me for barely hearing that he passed away, and he might have passed away a little after I hung out with him. But or maybe it wasn't a little after I hung out with him. Maybe it was recently. The homie Spence, my homie Andrew, he met George a few times. He worked with him. And the homie Charlie, he knows George. Jaime, I know George. Mario knows George. And if George was anything, if George was anything, he was a son, he was a father, he was a human of his environment. He would just he was from a single mother till his stepdad came along, who ended up passing away. His stepdad got sick. George was a gang member. He was when I met him, he was at a period of being clean when I met him. I remember when I got out of jail from just not going to see my probation. I've only been arrested twice. Once for graffiti, second time for fucking you get out of graffiti and they gave me, it was felony probation, so I got 5 years probation. First 4 years I would go. Even then it was like I would miss a couple months. I would go and I'm gonna have to go back to court because I missed, and like have to tell them like, I'm good, I'm here, I'm not running nowhere. I'm doing my hours or whatever, community labor. And so I went, and but just the fourth year I was just tired of it. Like my life went from living here, I was getting further away from it, and like not just that, I was irresponsible. I would go see, I would spend all my money. I was working landscaping. I was, some of the funnest jobs I ever had, the coolest jobs, the coolest people I ever met, and the coolest things I ever done. Like it was dope, and you know, I went to jail. I got out. Or anyway, so the fourth year I just stopped going on probation. I was like, fuck it, I ain't gonna go. I'll just go to jail. Fuck it. I didn't think I was gonna do that much. Like, you're not gonna do that much jail time. Like, I mean, oh, they're right here. Fucking piss. I can't really. My sense of smells all fucked up. But it might have been water, because earlier I had the cap off of full water and I squeezed it like an idiot. So I'm not sure. It doesn't really smell like piss. And I remember peeing in the bottle pretty good, so it shouldn't be this wet. Not that. I'm not a fucking retard. I don't say retard. I don't know why I said that. Retard. Like, I'm not saying it like to diss any mentally disabled people at all. So don't get it twisted, bro. I shouldn't use that word. You know what I'm saying? But so yeah. So I had a girlfriend at the time. A very good woman. A very good, confident, self-loving. Like most of the women that come into my life, they're just women. They're just beautiful people. They see something in me, and they care for me for as much as they can, until they just realize like this guy's just too damaged, you know. And so I have nothing but good to say about that, even to the woman that I lost recently. But nothing bad to say. Even my women that may have just had some casual thing, or even something where she thought there was more there, and she ended up hurt. You know what I'm saying? But so I get out of fucking. Oh, one day it was my homie Nazo. He was having a baby shower. So this is years back. I think his daughter's like 3 or 4 now. She might be like 5 or 6. I'm not sure, but I remember it was his baby shower, and I hadn't seen my homies in a cool minute. It's been a while since we all linked, and you know they hardly are able to get me to go out. You know what I'm saying? To feel good enough to go out, and you know, when I was working for that landscape company, I was working for a non-profit landscape where we used to go to South Central, and they were rebuilding houses right there for non-profit organizations, and a lot of these non-profits were housing homeless people, you know, ex-drug addicts and people disabled, I guess. And it was dope. It was like, damn, how you get on the list for this? Because when we go to these houses and service them, because we were there doing the landscaping. The landscaping comes in at the end when like the house is already there. You know what I'm saying? The house that they made. So we're like the last people there. So a lot of times we will go, we really wouldn't see too many other construction people. So it was just dope. Like the job, like it was the homie Adan, it was me. You had the homie Jason. We had the homie, the young homie. He got me into reading books. He was like 18. Carmelo. His name was Carmelo. No, it's Carmelo. Garamillo or something like that. Garamillo. I can't remember. He was a fucking cool ass kid. He used to ride his bike to. He was like a chubby ass kid, but he used to ride his bike to work. And he got me into reading books. And when we joined that company, it was a new department within that company. So, you know, I was like the new guy there. The other people, Adan had been there for years, but he just went to work with the new supervisor. The new supervisor there was new as well. So, but Adan had been there for a long time. So he knew the other crews, and our crew was like, the other guys would go plant trees and water trees, and like, when we were over here in South Central, we were building shit. We were like creating paths. You ever been to a school's, like a track and field at a school that is not rich, and they just have like that brown dirt, but it's hard as fuck? Most tracks are like that. The ones that are new and like their football field's turf and shit, they have like a foam. They'll have a foam track, which those are dope as fuck. But so we would do those paths with that dirt. It's called decomposed granite, because they you know, saving money on concrete. And then we wouldn't put grass, we put the wood chips, the mulch. But before that, we would lay down this cloth that didn't allow weeds. It was like a weed blocker. It would come out the ends, you know, or wherever. So we were trying to do the best hole we can around the plant. So first you have to plant the plants first. Then we would, while you're doing the plants at the same time, you're doing the irrigation as well. So we would put a whole irrigation system up. It was dope as fuck. I was like at the time like 21, 22. Like 22, 23. No, Don was like 40, but he that motherfucker was sharp. He was so sharp. He used to cut off the little hairs on his laces from his shoes. He was a nutcase. That motherfucker. He was dope. He was a ladies' man, bro. He just liked to chill with ladies and be cool. That was his thing. Just chill with ladies and be cool. That was his thing, dog. I learned a lot from that guy, man. Shout out you, Adon, man. You taught me a lot, man. I was admiring. I used to be fond of that guy. I used to admire him, man. You said admire him. Not envy. I would just admire. I was fond of. I was in wonder. Like, this guy's a trip, man. He was cool. He was cool as fuck, man. He ended up being my roommate, bro. He was cool as fuck. So that's what I was doing that landscaping. It was dope. We would knock out houses, like it would be like maybe 2 weeks for one house. I remember, like it was cool, man. Beyond all like working with somebody, and you're kind of like, man, you can pick up the slack on what you could do. You could help me out a little more, motherfucker, or like shit like that. You know, sometimes I have my attitudes and shit like that, but now I get back in, now it's nonsense. But I should have been chasing music when I was that age. You know what I'm saying? I should have been doing my shit back then, but. Um, so that comes to an end. After a while, there's just no more houses. Like there's just no more house to do there. So they were trying to, because everything in construction is like, even though you got the job to build it, to build the yard or whatever, to even build the house, doesn't mean we're gonna give you the service. Meaning, because this shit needs to be serviced. You got to make sure the weeds are pulled out, the water system's working good. You know, you blow everything, make sure everything's clean. There's no leaves. Pick up the leaves. You know, shit like that. Cut the bushes. So, long story short, I ended up going to staying within the same trade, but I went to a landscaping company, and this was strictly just. Um, at this time, I was just on the service crew, which is literally my homie. He was the boss. He drove. Sometimes I would drive, and then I was just the helper, you know. And that was just like go cut grass, mow, and go. And but the homie at that time, the homie was like 27, maybe 26. I said I was 24, about to be 25. He I could see he was trying to grow with that shit. He wanted, because there was another crew where they were actually building shit with the irrigation system. They were planting the grass, they were planting the trees. You know what I mean? He wanted to grow. He wanted to grow in that shit. Me, I'm still thinking like, I'm still like, nah, I don't want to do this shit, man. I want to fucking be something. I want to, like I can't do football no more. Let me see if I could. I like this music shit. It's pretty cool, man. You know what I'm saying? But no one knew it. No one knew I was doing my music shit at home. But nobody ever really knew. I would not put it out. You know what I'm saying? But every little thing, I had my notepad. I was go right, go home and record it, then smoke to it and flip the fuck out. Like, damn, that shit sounds sick, but you say some crazy shit. So it'll give me anxiety. But back to like cutting the grass and stuff. So me and the homie, this landscaping company, they were from pretty far out east from downtown, the city where I live. So they were pretty far east. So they had a lot of properties, like a lot of different places, but they were expanding. That's why they hired me and the homie, because we lived near downtown. So we were cutting. We took on like the valley. We took on like we're just figure it. We started taking over for the company. Like we started servicing the properties on our side of town. So we're like, why the fuck are we driving this work truck all the way back to the shop? I had to drive all the way back home, man. And the homie had a good idea. He's like, why don't you ask the guy you're renting a room from if he'll be willing to get paid by our boss so we could park our truck where you stay. Man, it was kind of a bad idea because I go home, the truck's there, I want to go, I want to do shit, I'm hungry, I ain't gonna walk no more, I'm gonna just take the work truck. So I started using that bitch like it was mine. And I had a girlfriend, she didn't live too far, I was always hanging out with her. I mean, her house and stuff. Not to say we were always doing shit, but that was short-lived because one day it was raining. Long story short, I wrecked it. I could talk about it later. I totally wrecked the truck. I wrecked it total. It was totaled. It was totaled as soon as we got to the fucking mechanic. Total. I don't know Spanish. I just said that, but I've heard that word total. That's total. But it was just done. Straight from there, the boss says, "All right, we gotta get your ass a drug test." Like, he followed protocol. That's his company, you know. I don't knock him. It's funny. I had stopped smoking weed maybe a month or two, so I knew I should have been good, but the day before that, why did I want to smoke this roach that I found? I ended up smoking the roach that I found. And I was like, what the fuck? So, but it didn't come out because it was the day before. And I guess it wasn't that much marijuana. I know I got high that night because I hadn't smoked in a while. And, I got high and enough where I had a head change. It may not have lasted forever. It may, like, after the paranoia, it may not, like, fucking knock me out, but, yeah, so that truck ended up getting totaled. But anyway, so I think that shit had got totaled in between my two getting arrested, and then I get out, and then I got a court date, and that's when they ended up putting me away for some months. I didn't do over a year, but it was like 8.5, 9 months, you know, off of violation, just literally not seeing my PO for a whole year, which, fuck it. That 8.5, 9 months that I went away, I felt good about it. I learned a lot. You learn a lot in jail. You learn a lot about yourself, and you learn a lot how to grow, how to just grow, be a better person, and okay. So anyway, so now that I had the work truck at the house because my boss is paying the landlord, I'm like, okay, that's fucking my homie's baby shower. I got a car, I got a lady. Let's fucking go. So I get ready. She gets ready. I swoop her up. We're driving. Literally like a block away from her house. Like, I run a stop sign a block away from her house. Literally. And I'm like, what the fuck? And as soon as I run the stop sign, I look and there's a cop. And I tell her, I'm going to jail. I'm going to fucking jail. So, yeah, I went to jail for like 2 weeks. I went to jail for 2 weeks because I had a warrant because I didn't go see my PO, like I said, for like a whole year. So, I go to jail. I call my girlfriend. She said they let me take the truck, so we parked it back at the house. So you're good, you know what I'm saying? So I'm like, for sure. I had barely gotten my cousin JJ. I barely got him a job. At that time, I got a promotion from the helper. I was the helper, so I started driving the truck, and I got my cousin JJ a job. And the homie who we pretty much got hired on together, but he knew more than me. He was more handy. He was badass. He's a badass worker. So he went to go run shit. He want to go run like projects. You know, he want to go start doing literally like the systems and start like kind of like making sure everything's where it's supposed to be. He started becoming a manager. So I became the lead. I had my worker, which is my primo, my cousin JJ. So she told me, JJ, they're just gonna put Brian back to the route, and JJ's still gonna be the helper. So I talked to Brian because he was there. Like I said, they're family oriented, so he's always with the sister and his mom, and at the mom's house with their kids because he has his own kids. We didn't have kids together, but they had a younger brother, and it was just family people, man. Real people that are able to just come together and be family, you know. And humble, not even near rich, but hardworking people, and good people, good to their neighbors, you know. Very generous, very forgiving and understanding, and so I hold on, guys. I gotta roll the easy, man. I'm just talking. So I don't know how much fucking battery I have left, but so I meet George. I gotta remember that about George. I love you, George. And I'm sorry, George. I'm sorry. And I hope you're in heaven, George. I hope you're in heaven, George. It's fucking crazy. He's one of the closest guys I was with, and he passed away. It's wild. But I'm gonna talk about his life so he could be remembered, you know, from what I've known of him. And I'm gonna say real stuff. And so I go to jail. The truck is good. I get out. I get out in 2 weeks, and what you do when you get out of jail, you have to go see your probation officer. So I go see my probation officer, and she tells me you still have a probation violation in another city because I had open cases in multiple cities because when I was doing my street art, my street art was located in different sections of the county. So different sections had different municipals and different Supreme Courts. So these different courthouses are in two different areas. One's more metropolitan, one's more suburban. And I think that's metropolitan. I don't know. One's more in an area where the crime is higher, so they look at street art. Oh, it's not that bad. One is like, how dare you write on our walls right here, or how dare you make our city look this way. So I fucking I go. Well, the lady told me since you violate probation, they're giving you. And I like to think this was the world, this was God telling me I'm not that bad of a person, because she's like, you have a court date set for. It was like the beginning of the year, because it was going to be, yeah, it was like the first week of the new year. I'm like, cool, I get to at least be off this whole month and fucking be off, meaning like I don't gotta go back to jail. I can have like a whole month to just kind of like work, make some money, act like nothing happened, and then just pretty much have that court date just to tell them they're gonna take me to jail. Because if this place held me for 2 weeks, like for that shit, then that place over here for sure is probably gonna violate me. Because this 2 weeks, I don't even remember why they even let me out after 2 weeks. Like, why not just send me to court from jail to that fucked up area? They have like a 99, or like a high 90% conviction rate, which is fucking bonkers to me, really. So, sure enough, the day comes. Okay, so in between, like, I was probably a headache for the boss. In between going to jail for those 2 weeks and having to wait that month to my next court date to go back to jail, I ended up totaling the work truck. Let me tell you what happened. I was trying to be a good person. It's a Friday, so we need to get paid. And since we live like far away from the boss, he's like, we came to an agreement like, why the fuck we have to drive all the way to about where you live to like pick up our check? So he would let us get our check on Thursday. But Brian would have it. Brian, like I said, he was working on that side because he got more money. He was running shit over there. He like, And the boss actually trusted me enough to pretty much hold down the shit over here in LA, which we were. We knew which houses really needed service on certain days, or which ones we could just literally just mow, blow, and go. We knew which ones are more important, shit like that. But I ain't gonna bullshit you. I wasn't the best fucking. This wasn't gonna be my dream. I ain't gonna lie. This wasn't gonna be my life, But And who knows? I could die right now. That was my life, but that was my life. That it is part of my life, you know. And I appreciate it. I enjoyed it so much. I really did. Especially at Northeast Trees. That was a fucking awesome job. So anyway, excuse me. During that week, but it's Friday now. But during that week, it was raining a lot. Like I said, it was around December, and so since it was around December, I got a call. Coincidentally, one of our properties, pretty much near where I was living at the time. No, I'm wrong. It was near my mama's house. In the same city where my mama lived, one of the properties we would take care of, a tree, a big ass tree fell in the middle of the street. And luckily it was in a nice area and it wasn't a major street. So cars went around it, but it was still like, damn, this big ass tree in the middle of the road. And I guess the city doesn't fuck with it, so the owners called the people who manage the yard. But me and the homie, we're humans, right? So we're like enjoying ourselves or enjoying our weekend. It was on the weekend. Either weekend or a rainy day. I think it was on the weekend. And the homie's like, hey, you know, we got some work right now. You know, a tree fucking fell. You know, I need your help. We live in the same city, you know. He's like, I'm gonna swoop you up. We gotta go cut down a tree. I'm not sure if he borrowed a chainsaw from somebody he knew, from one of the homies. I don't want to say everybody's name I know because I don't want to leave anybody out. So, but this homie was dope as fuck. He was Honduras. He looked like Bob Marley. He was fucking strong. He had like one tattoo, like one fucking like a fucking like that barbed wire thing. But he had colored eyes, dude. I was like, damn, motherfucker. I wish I looked like you, dude. The motherfucker got girls, and he was a handsome ass motherfucker, and he was very humble. He's from Honduras. He was a very kind person, very respectful. He was like a man. Like you, he was cool. He would like say like respectable jokes. Like, you know what I'm saying? He wasn't trying to put nobody down. Like, it's fucking like he's a role model of mine and a guy that I could say that had nothing. Just like a guy that he's a blessed individual, man. You know. So I always wonder who's over there watching this shit. So I let me charge my fucking phone a little bit. So so yeah, I was willing to go cut that tree. Sorry, I'm a bad storyteller. No, this is a piss bottle, and this is a water bottle right here, I think. Sorry guys, I gotta decipher the both. So I have made a mistake and drank piss before, twice. Happened twice already. Once was recently. The other time happened when I was fucking young. And my cousin JJ knows about it because it was his fucking piss. But so I you know, so we go cut that tree down. We ended up fucking cutting that tree down. It was raining. It was fucking badass. Me and the homie just cutting the tree down. Every car that passed by, every rich fucking car, pretty lady in a nice ass car driving by, I'm like, yeah, I'm that bad motherfucker cutting the tree down, tat it up. And that was my mentality at that time. But you know, you just feel good when you're working. A lot of workers feel that way when they're working. Like, yeah, they're fucking respectable. They're badass motherfuckers, you know, as they should. But be a good worker and show up on time and be consistent and grow. You know, be humble. Be a team player. So we had those logs in the back of the car, and we kind of low-key had them like that whole week. We were just too fucking lazy to dump them. I don't know why we didn't dump it, but so it might have not been during the week. You know, it might have just been a day of rain, and then we got a call, like an emergency call. Can't remember, but for us to have that fucking wood in there all that time, it's kind of weird. Could just left it at Mike's house, but I gotta roll this blunt before it gets. I might play a song for y'all. I'll play a song from the radio, let y'all hear it while I'm rolling this blunt. But I want to say, so how I totaled the truck is that I had Had the wood in the back. It was Friday, and JJ couldn't make it to work. I think his girl was pregnant, or he just had his kid, or not that he just had his kid that day, but something happened. I know his son was young at the time. He said, "Yeah, I can't make it to work today, but I need my check, bro." And we must have had to discuss this on Thursday, or I had to been knowing about it. He's like, "But I'm gonna take the train close to like." I pretty much went out of my way. I said, "Yeah, I'm gonna wake up early. I'm gonna take your check in the morning, and then I'm gonna go head up on the route." And I know my fucking cousin, you know, he's gonna want you to look out for him. So I said, "Okay, I'm not gonna tell the boss you're not gonna go to work." You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna tell the boss you're going to work. You're not going to work. I can handle it. It's Friday. I ain't tripping. I'll take you your check to the train, drop it off. You handle your day. I'll go handle the day by myself, and we'll be good. But this is off the route. And then I have this wood in the back that the boss assumes that's already gone. Now, why the fuck is that wood in the back of the truck still? It was a lot of the fucking good wood, but I think it was wet, so you know, it's kind of not good. So fucking I'm driving to my cousin JJ. The situation wasn't his fault or anybody's fault. The accident was me because, you know, I like to hear my music. So I was trying to change the songs. I was looking at my phone, and then I look up, and traffic stopped, and the road was wet because, like I said, it was a week of like on and off rain. It must have barely rained that morning. So I'm like trying to fucking, the traffic will stop, and I'm trying to brake, but I'm just I'm just like skating, like I'm just flowing. Like this shit ain't gonna stop. So on the right of that car, or the right of that whole lane of traffic, was a heavy duty tow truck with like the flatbed where you put like a fucking tractor on it or something. And at the end, where like it probably like, you know, lifts, comes down so you can put the car on. It has like a pointy thing sticking out. It's not super pointy, but it's like has a point to it. But it's like flats out. But it's metal. So it's fucking. So I just went directly into that, and like the airbag went off, and I just totaled the whole shit. And luckily, after I fucking ran into it, for some reason I was able to reverse and go forward and just pretty much go like. It's funny because I was able to go far enough. I think I went in front like of another. I went in front for sure. I went in front of that big ass tow bed truck, and I think I even went in front of like another car. But there I was just done. Like it was like you hear the whole like the radiator fluid. And I'm driving and like just it's hard as fuck the steering wheel. And people were asking me if I'm okay. I'm like, yeah, I'm good. So everybody's carrying on. I'm in the car. I'm waiting. I'm like, what the fuck am I gonna do? So I said, fuck, I gotta run this check to JJ because that motherfucker's calling me. I run the fucking check to JJ. Get him the fuck out of there. By now, I'm gonna just tell the boss, you know, this, like. So I'm thinking the boss can't know I was right here. The boss can't fucking know I was right here. So I think my excuse ended up being that I was going over there to pick up JJ. He wanted me to pick him up there in the morning. I can't remember how it happened, to be honest with you. That part about it. I ran all the way over there. I was probably like a good mile away from the train station where he was at, and I just ran, gave him his fucking check, told him what happened. He's doing his fucking thing, don't give a fuck. But then I had the wood in the back. I'm like, what the fuck? We lied. It adds on to the bullshit. Adds on to the shitty worker that I am, you know? So have shake, so I just like pepper it on. I get 7 gram shake because that's just what I get because it's cheaper. Shit, yeah. I'm trying to get as much weed as I can. Just stay high, you know what I'm saying? It's a head change. So that's what happened. That's how I totaled it. You know, I'm gonna go try to help out my cousin, but I was still trying to get over on the boss by like allowing him to get paid for that one day of work that he really didn't go to work. And so I ended up calling. I called the manager, dude. His name is Brian. I ended up calling Brian, the one that I was his helper before. So we totaled the truck. I go do the drug test. I pass it. I had smoked the day before. I ended up passing it. On the right there where I got into that accident, as I'm waiting there, the guy who owned that tow truck, he came from somewhere. Like I said, it was early in the morning. Nobody was starting work yet. He got into it. He didn't even know someone hit the back of his shit. I was watching him through my rearview mirror. He just gets in the car and takes off. Like he didn't do no damage to his shit. So I'm just right there in the fucked up truck, and then I was like, "Fuck! I need to unload this wood." So I put the wood, like stacking it up on the sidewalk, and like people from the businesses across the street were like filming me. It's like, "Come on, bro! Are you serious?" At the time now the way the world is now, I'm like, bro, you really fucking kidding me? I'm putting this fucking homeless people, but I guess it wasn't like that back then. But there were still homeless people, but nobody was as like fuck. Fucking no one is as like dicky right now. Everybody's like the world could change like that because of the virus. Like no one's like really giving a fuck. Like people are still fucked up, have bad attitudes towards each other. But if anybody sees something bad happening to somebody or something, they're just like, you know, it's like somebody smoking crack right there or like putting a needle in their vein right there is not like some fucking like, you know, they're not gonna call the cops. They're like, fuck. They're just gonna talk shit and just like be like, damn, this fucking world's crazy. But you know, so. Yeah, so that's what happened. It all kind of worked out, except for the boss. I felt like a fucking prick. You know, he wanted to drug test me. I didn't come out high, so I guess I felt better about it. And he didn't learn why I was even going out that way. So, you know, it wasn't a good thing. It was mad immature. That's what happened. And then you know, Brian had he had a an old ass Toyota truck, like the Datsun ones, the small body, the old ones with the slam the doors, sounds like a fucking tank and shit. The small ass truck. I used to be scared when he would go fast. I think down the what is it, the 2 freeway? That freeway over there by I don't really tell you the freeway, but it's by the baseball stadium. And he would go fast down that big ass hill, going towards I think it was like the 210. He's for the win. I'm like, I said, be high and be like, slow the fuck down. And but it was stick, and him just being a solid ass worker, down for the crew. He told the boss, if I could teach this fucking stupid kid, I was not even a stupid kid, I was 24, but if I could teach this fucking idiot how to ride stick shift, can we can keep the route going. I'll give my truck to this company, you know. And it was funny when he was teaching me that night. The first time he taught me, I kept fucking up his clutch. And he's like, you're gonna fuck my shit up. And at first he's like, everybody's like, it's cool, you can use my shit, but it's like, motherfucker, you fucking my shit up. And you know, everybody says something. He ended up saying, like, he told me that, dude, he got a little upset, which I don't blame him. And it's his shit. And I was feeling like, you know, I felt vulnerable. I felt stupid about myself. Because it's like when you're trying to learn something new, you feel a little like, you know, you don't feel as good about yourself. You guys, don't smoke too many blunts because it's not good for you. I'm gonna quit soon. I have to do another alternative to probably just do peace. Peace is boring. I like rolling the blunt. It's cool. Maybe I should do papers. I'm not sure, to be real. But somebody told me the other day, I asked them if they wanted to smoke, just like I was gonna give them a blunt or whatever. You know, I see people that, you know, like to smoke. I just like to be kind or whatever. Just be, I guess, making up for the bullshit. But so she's like, no, I only smoke backwoods. Like she made it seem as if like this shit was like not healthy, and backwoods was like the alternative. So I gotta look into that. But I'm kind of laughing in my head right now. Like I think they're both bad, but so I ended up learning. When literally the first like hour we tried, he's like, let's just stop, bro. Let's go eat. Let's eat. Let's come back, bro. Let's just try it later, man. And I'm just dreading it. Like, fuck, it's just never gonna work. So the whole time, I ended up going to his house with his family, had dinner. And he's faded as fuck. I think he just smoked the bleezy. He's faded as fuck. He's looking at the TV, and I'm like, just the whole time, like, damn, what's this motherfucker gonna say he wants to go try? I'm like, fuck, this is never gonna work. I just crashed the shit out of long ass there. I go home and sleep. Like, I have to wake up tomorrow too. Like fuck, I'm gonna have to wake up tomorrow to like, I don't know, I just to go to work. Like fuck, she's never gonna have. Just like felt pressure. And he's like, let's go. Like I said, he smoked, he ate. He was in a better mood. He probably thought like this fucking immature motherfucker crashed the truck, dumb, stupid fuck. You know, he's willing to. He had a long day with me. You know, he had a long day just probably fucking this guy's an idiot. So he smoked, he ate. You know, he was just chilling now. He's like, let's go. And then sure, for some reason, I don't know why, I just from fucking up before, I just knew like. I just fucking knew. I was like, knew how to do it. I picked up my cousin the next day. I remember cruising to his house, like, we good, let's go. I pick him up, and I felt good. Driving stick, I was like, this shit's sick. Like, it wasn't my truck, I knew that for a fact, but it just felt dope, you know. And I called him, hey, we good, we working, we doing our shit, you know. And we did that till I ended up going in jail. I ended up going to court that first of the month. And the lady said, you violated, you get 2 years. Sentencing 2 years. Remember, my biological father showed up to like the second court date, the first court date after they booked me. And he's like, come on, man, you gonna give this guy 2 years? Like, come on, man. He was working, like, he ain't doing the crimes no more. You know, like, and that judge didn't give a fuck. That judge didn't give a fuck. And it is what it is, you know. So since it's county time, I'm pretty sure it was going to be county time. So I knew I was going to do a year. My court date was literally a year long. Because county time is halftime. But I ended up going to fire camp, so they took off like 3.5 months of my shit. So I get out. I get out of jail again. I get out of jail 8.5 months later, and I start working. I remember I got out on the 20th of September, and I worked that Wednesday. I went to my probation officer, the day I got out, and then I'm not sure why, either I took a day off. I think I had to go somewhere. I'm not sure where I went the next day after that. And maybe I had 2 different probation locations. I can't remember. And then I ended up going to working Wednesday. That Wednesday, the Sunday I got out, I ended up going to work on Wednesday. And I ended up doing the thing that I became licensed at. And that's plumbing. I became a licensed plumber. My license might be suspended just off a payment, but I never had to take a test again. I just had to fucking like renew it. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, with my stepdad, he got himself. He was like, I think he was like the project manager of his homie. You know, his construction, whatever opportunities there. So he was working for the company that gave the job to the plumber who was working on this big job. And I guess my stepdad ended up just leaving that company, or maybe he got fired, and the guy who he gave that plumbing job to said he needed a project manager. So now my dad's getting paid by the guy he pretty much was paying before. Get me? So it's just weird like that. And they were already buddies anyway. That's why he gave him the job, plumbing job. So his buddy hooked him up to work for his company. So he told, hey, my son's getting out of fucking jail. And so I go to work. I get out of fire camp. I'm fucking in shape. I remember my first day. They had me. I was doing cleanouts. My job was to locate the pipe coming out of the building to put a clean out there, so that way whenever they have to service that main line going into the city, the sewage system, sanitation system, they have something to service, to the manhole, to the easement. So I remember I was looking for the pipe, and like all the workers, I was a new guy, they were coming to see what's up. They all want to see what's up. This guy works hard, he's lazy. I fucking dug to my head, literally almost 6 feet deep, like 2 feet in width. These fuckers didn't even tell me, man. And it was cool though. I enjoyed it. I was just digging. I was trying to show the boss I was a hard worker anyway. I wasn't even worried about the workers, like everybody around me. I was just trying to show the boss, like, because I was like, fuck, this is plumbing, like, shit, like, and so that was my job. But at first my job was just to expose the pipe. It wasn't even to connect it. It was like, once I found it, I just had to go into the next hole, next hole, next hole, next hole, next hole, next hole. So I started from the bottom. Like, I started from where they say, like, we gotta start digging. You're a plumber, you gotta start digging, And I dug some fucking shit. Like, I dug some shit, like, well, I was proud of it. Like, I was like, fuck, like, this shit's gonna be hard. Like I'm gonna have to fucking go from this point to that point, and the trench has to keep going down. Like, gosh darn it. Like, then I gotta go, like, through, like, you gotta go through electrical cord and wires and maybe other shit, other utilities that run in the yard. And I loved it. I ended up loving it. I ended up, after a while, I got tired of it. I'm digging this shit, I'm gonna connect it. So but you had to buy, I knew I had to get tools. And being young, and I get out of jail, I'm living at my mom's house, like, that's mad fortunate, bro. Like, I ended up, they let me get on my toes. I ended up buying tools. And it's good to reflect like this. It's good to talk about this. It's good to reflect and go back, And so I end up, learning everything learn what the job entailed, And sure enough, I finished the job. But the first day that I get out of jail, or the first day I go attempt to work over there, sure enough, we pull up. I'm nervous, like, who am I gonna work with? What kind of job is this? And we were working at a housing authority location, which, if nobody realizes what that is HACLA, Housing Authority, California, Los Angeles, or County of Los Angeles, or California, I don't know what it is, but it's the Housing Authority. And that's pretty much the projects. I didn't grow up in the projects. That was my first experience, but I was a worker at that project. And so we show up, we park. I guess we're parking near where they keep their tools, the whole storage containers. And we show up, and I see this one guy standing there, and like my stepdad like nods his head at him. And remember, he had a blacked out tattoo on his neck. He looked like he might have probably only spoke Spanish, to be real with you. And I get out the car, and he's talking Spanish to my stepdad. And I meet him, and he talks to me normal. And it was George. George was the first person that I met when I showed up. The first person that I met. And at first they were like a little like, who's this guy and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? But me and George became really cool. Cool enough to where I would take him home. Cool enough to where we would smoke. Cool enough to where, you know, I don't know, we would just chop it up. I respected him. He reminded me of people that came from where I came from. He, I don't know, he's just somebody that I don't have no clue. I, I didn't really try to help him. Maybe like I should have. I just enabled him. If he needed money, I would maybe hook him up or try to buy him food. But the thing is that I know I'm talking about a lot about myself, man, but he just talks so much about himself or whatever the case might have you. I know how these commenters are. Nobody comments on my shit. I'm just, who's gonna watch this dark ass video? So I met George, and the thing about George is he was a fucking great worker, bro. This job that we had, this guy would go underneath the houses and change the gas. We work on gas. Him and Mario, there was 2 crawlers that were going underneath the building, and there was a guy that stood outside, and they would scream from the bottom like, you know, we need this long of pipe. I need this. So that guy would just make the pipe for them, whatever pieces they might need. He was like the helper on top, but he would work the pipe machine, the pipe threader that threads the end of a steel pipe that we use for gas. No, they use different pipe now. They use like some flex pipe. I don't know, they use a lot of different shit now. And not a lot of different shit, but there's different companies that make the same material. But so like these motherfuckers, and then like that motherfucker needed to get in the hole and dig. George was a digger. George was a hard worker, a very hard worker. Hard worker. He was hard worker, and he was loyal. He was the one that the boss in the morning when he needs to get done. If you ain't working hard, George is gonna get on your ass, and George is gonna keep it 100. He's gonna tell the boss, hey, this guy just wants a check and he's taking advantage of you. Because George is looking out for the boss because the boss is his friend. Hold on, guys. I don't think it was ready, but I felt like a pimple right here. And it's making it worse. George was he was a beast. The dude knew how to talk. The dude he knew how to talk to people. He knew how to like he was a humble guy. He was old school. He was like 40, 43, 44 when I met him. And you can only imagine those years before I met him, like what were they like, but I got to an understanding with him. I got to get to know him, and he was a hustler. He was a hustler. He was a hard worker. He used to take the bus to work. He used to come faded and take it to a certain point, then they'll swoop him up. He never had a car. People would hook him up. He was just a friendly guy. He knew how to survive, but the guy I met when I first met him was just a hard worker. I didn't question where he came from. I didn't think he had an issue. I didn't think he had an issue with him. I knew he was from the streets and stuff. I just assumed the guy smokes bud. He's a hard ass worker. He's like the boss's like main dude, and I knew he had a little daughter and a son, and he had his baby mama. He told me he likes to dress clean when he's out of work. He used to have his, he's a 49er fan. The Dodger fan, he had his clean caps. He had his like one that he wore to work, but he always kept the clean one for after work. And He's like, I'm gonna go smoke some bud and get home and just chill, and just smoke and just watch TV, watch sports. He likes sports. He knew what's up with sports, and we used to talk about sports. And he had this laugh, like a, like he had a, like he was a special dude, man. He was a fucking cool ass motherfucker, man. And somebody told me that he passed away. Somebody told me that he did. And I keep going to why you might think that I would think that way. And I smoke. And so I gotta call the homie Chauncey too. We call him Charles, but his real name is Chauncey. Chauncey. His name was Chauncey. A sick ass name. Chauncey. 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 I don't know why they call him Charles, because I don't think they knew it, like they couldn't pronounce it, so they'd say Charles. Like the fucking Chauncey. That's my boy right there. That's my homie. He don't like to be called that, but that's my homie. And fucking so yeah, that was George. That was George. He would come bust his fucking ass at work, faded, and then he would smoke on his way home. So he would come high, bust his ass, go home faded. But this dude, like I said, he was from the streets. He was a charming dude. He was confident in himself. He was who he was, you know. And yeah. So we're working, and we're working, but we work at the same place every day. We're working at this project. You know, there's so many people. There's a lot of older people, there's beautiful old women, you know, old grandmas, just like beautiful people. I had conversations there with them, and I sat down and I try to like talk to them about God, and you know, was beautiful young ladies there, you know, all day, and there was a mixture. At that particular project, it's probably the most diverse project. I'm not sure if it's like that right now, but I would say it's probably in LA County. It would have been one of the most diverse projects. So there was African American community there was a Hispanic community there was an Asian community there was a white community there. It was by the beach. It was by water, so it's just more populated over there. I guess there was a particular gang there that was a certain race, but there was other gangs there, but they weren't gangbanging. They weren't like, there was a hood that ran that section, you know, that was there for so long. It might be different now, you know. It could, I don't know. The diversity could have affected it in a negative manner, but I don't know. But so what I'm saying to this is that like we would go into these units, we would see these women, and George was a flirt. George was gonna talk in Spanish. He was gonna talk in English. He was gonna talk to you. He was gonna fill you out. He was gonna, and yeah, sure enough, there was this before I got there. Literally, probably like a couple months before I got there. I guess there was this young lady that he liked, and you know, some women would call, some women would probably have their opinion on the George, but at the end of the day, we're all men, bro. We're all men, and we all struggle, dog. We struggle as men when it comes to other women and our desires. And so that young lady, George told me that he told all the other workers around, like, because they were like trying to like see what's up with that girl. And George said, "I'm gonna get her number." So George got her number. They linked at a local, you know, a local telly, and they did their thing. And but like I said, she was young and she was a wild child and she was unstable and he already had a family. she ended up getting pregnant. But George being George, like George just thinking like it'll work out, like like fuck, like it'll work out somehow. I don't know how, but it'll work out. Like it's cool. Like I'm gonna love my kid. We can't be together, but I'm gonna love my kid. And like we're still gonna like kind of be together, I guess. But I'm still gonna have my family over here. And it was starting to get too much because she was too unstable, and she used to kind of come kick it while she was pregnant. She would come kick it like by where we worked, and she would talk to all of us. She was a young girl, but she was talkative. She was a hood baby. You know what I'm saying? She just had that mentality. She had her battles. Plain and simple, she was a hurt young lady who was lost. Maybe didn't have the right guidance in her. And I think the blunt cracked. And a lot of the people around there, like the fucking, it's a that project has their workers that have been working there for years, where they like service everything. They cut the grass. They work in the office. There's like a whole community there for the people that live there. They have their plumbers there. They send, or electricians if they have any problems with certain stuff. They have their own maintenance people. So, we were getting cool with those guys too. We were getting to know those dudes because we were the subcontracted company that were just coming to pretty much somewhere where there's guys that are ready to retire, old men, beautiful people. I could tell stories about them. And so she was kicking it, but like I said, I'm not sure if she was doing drugs, I'm not sure what, but there was a certain instances where she would flip out on him. That young girl, she would. I remember one time I was on a ladder. And I guess I was across the street on a whole totally different building doing something else, and George was on one. George used to be our guy that was in charge of the gas. He would work on the gas. He was tying in whatever we were, prefabbing closer to the water heater. So, there was a certain route you had to go. So that was like, well, let's just run all the pipe on the building. We'll get to the end. We'll do all the connections to the water heater. We'll come back. We'll double back. And while the guys are getting ahead, we'll send George back to do it. Because George loved gas. He got me into gas. George taught me gas. George wasn't a hater. George was going to teach you. George, he might clown on you. He wasn't a hater, though. George was never going to be a hater. He wasn't going to... there were some people there that were kind of like... I'm not going to say some or anybody. There's always people that are looking and they're not going to help you. They're going to... so... I don't fucking know, but... And, like, if George wasn't a hater, man. He was a fucking cool cat. And, I remember I was on the ladder and he's across the street and, like, he's right there by the fucking, the pipe machine. And, I remember, like, she's, like, chasing him around the pipe machine. She even caught up to him. He, like, let her smack him in the face. Like, I even walked over, I was like, George, like, nigga, chill. I think from the ladder, I seen Richard coming. So I was going to go distract him. I went over there to go try to distract Richard so he wouldn't see that shit. And I tried to tell her to calm the fuck down. At the same time, and she's walking towards me when I'm talking to Richard. She's walking towards me. And this is not to down her, because I like her. I respect her. She was hurt. Like George, like I'm saying with George, when George just kind of try to act like it's going to work, it might seem like that. We're going to have a baby, but there's so many emotions. How much time is there in a day, especially if you don't have a job and you're just pregnant? You're like, why the fuck did I have this baby? Or fuck this guy. Like, you're just flipping out on emotions. You're pregnant. You're young. You're like, what the fuck? Like, this motherfucker, he's right here working, and I don't know what. But I could just see that emotion becoming that. And she was walking straight to Richard, and she's like, and I just walked away. I was like, fuck. She's fucking gonna. I think she ended up telling Richard about the pregnancy. And, yeah, and then um, what had happened was um, he just it was getting too hot. It was just too burnt out for George there. So George couldn't work there no more, and that was ultimately kind of like him sleeping with that girl. That really really changed his life, like because since he couldn't be focused and work there because of the whole pregnancy thing, he I think Richard, the owner of that plumbing company who hired me, he tried his best. If there was like a side job somewhere else, like Richard mostly just had that job going on. And George going through all this drama and shit, and I think like his girlfriend ended up finding Texas, or his wife ended up finding Texas. I say his wife because he had kids with her and they were living together in an apartment. They've been together for years. They had one son. He was a teenager. So that's why I say that was his wife. She found out. She like fucked his ass up while he was sleeping and shit. She woke his ass up like so. I think he like was getting like kicked out of there, and then like I didn't know this, but one day for some reason he came back. Like they just allowed him to come back. I think what had happened. I think they had talked to that girl not to fucking cause no drama, or like she moved out or something happened. But sure enough, like it didn't make no sense that he came back because first of all, it was like there was a rumor that he was not doing well. There was a rumor that he wasn't doing well, and this pisses me off right now, even on myself, that I could sit here and talk about this, but I didn't bother helping him. You know, but I remember uh, there was rumors, and when he came back, right away you could tell a totally different look in his face because of drugs, because he was starting to do well. People assume meth, but kind of knowing more about him later on, you'll figure it out. But it was a drug that was more than marijuana. It was a drug that could fuck up your life. And so I was like, fuck, this fucking guy really does have a problem. I'm like, damn, my nigga. And I just accepted him back with open arms. Like, yeah, he's back at work. Hell yeah, like let's do this. Like, like fucking George. Like, I'm happy he's back. Like, and I remember she ended up coming back. Like, even like she ended up like causing more drama, like around that. And then she really caused. She came back. She caused more drama. It was like more drama. We were even telling her, please just go. Like, I was trying to get in front of her, like, just go, please, please. You're just making it worse. Like, but nah, she was making a scene right there. And but his baby mama ended up taking him back. She took him back. She was like, he told me she took him back, but he ended up having a fucking stroke. He said something when he was sleeping. He woke up. He had like he couldn't move his body, like his legs, and I don't know if he had a stroke or he got sick. And he told me that was from God. He told me that was from God. He told me that was from God. He has two beautiful daughters, and he has two beautiful daughters that were from one woman, and he has an older son that he doesn't know much about. He doesn't really get to see that much. That he had with an older woman when he was young, and he has a son, his youngest son, and a little daughter who might be like 7 or 8 now, from that wife that he unfortunately, was unfaithful to. And then he had, he had that baby boy. That baby boy he had, who I got to meet once, maybe twice. His name was Dominic. I think that was his name, Dominic. And George would talk about him. And George would say that he would always say my boy. And he loved his boy too. He loved his boy Mario, and his little daughter. His little daughter might be Kayla. He wishes it was different. I know he wishes it was different. It's like my brother wishes it was different. But it's for you, George. I ain't gonna get scared either, alright? But yeah, he really couldn't even walk. He was handicapped. Like he just after that stroke, he was handicapped. His leg, he couldn't use his legs. I remember when I first seen him. You know, time goes on. I go live my life. I go to work for months. You know, I go to work and he would call me, see how it's going, what's going on. You know, sometimes he would just keep calling me like, I know I don't want to answer. Like, oh come on, like I think he just wanted to talk. But me thinking he wants something, me thinking, me like, me thinking, I don't know, he just not wanting to deal with it. I guess dealing with my own shit. And yeah, so he was back at his mom's. The lady didn't. She wasn't gonna want him no more. That was like a perfect excuse to leave his ass. I don't blame her. I don't blame her one bit. And George wouldn't blame her either. George wouldn't blame her, but he missed her. I think he even cried to me one time that he missed her. He told me he fucked up. Yeah. He told me he fucked up. He missed her. He missed the fuck out of her. And he missed his daughter. He missed his daughter. I remember I took him to Walmart one time because he missed his daughter. But he was a good person. But yeah, he just fucking just try to live. He just try to fucking. He just couldn't do shit. He go from like he was a hard ass worker. He go from being a hard worker to not being able to do shit. Well, just because he made a mistake. made a fucking mistake. He didn't make a child mistake. He couldn't control his sexual drive to just not have sex with that girl, to just maybe wear a condom. You know, he couldn't. You know, he was probably the only person in his house making money, but he couldn't appreciate the fact that he had a girl at home. You know, as his kids. You know, he didn't think. You got to be careful. You got to be careful out there. You got to be careful with the decisions that you make. You got to be careful. You got to be careful what you do, what women you sleep with, who you offend. You got to. You got to. As hard as it is right now, because it's internet shit, because of how we can easily put this shit on the internet when we're feeling an emotion, we're feeling hurt. We easily put it on the internet. You got to be careful. You got to be careful. Everybody wants to be heard. Everybody wants to feel loved. There's so many hurt people out there that say, spaz out. And they're the misunderstood. They're the outcast now. I would never do that. I would never be this person. Let this blunt go out and I take a piss. So yeah, my dad told me today. Richard called me a couple weeks ago. So I'm not sure if George passed away a couple weeks ago or if he passed away that time that I visited him. But George was trying, man. He was fucking trying. He was trying because I took him on a job or two. I took him on a job and I tried to fucking. He was trying his best. He couldn't fucking move that much. He couldn't really do shit. He couldn't do anything. But I tried. Even a lady told me, "Don't bring him back no more. I don't want him to get hurt." A nice lady told me that. A nice lady who gave me some work, who tried her best, and she told me, "Don't bring him back no more because I just don't want him to get hurt." You know what I'm saying? And I was hurt by that. I was hurt. I wanted to help her. I wanted, like, if George was a badass fucking worker, we would have tore shit up. Like, he would have been my perfect sidekick. Like, he would have probably been. That's why I wanted to go reach out to George. I wanted him to help me. Like, I wanted, but it wasn't there. It wasn't there. He wasn't born an American citizen, but he went to high school here. He went to elementary here, but he wasn't born an American citizen. He wasn't born here. So he couldn't get SSI. He couldn't get treatment that an American would have got. He was in a position so many people would not want to be in. And he would have been easily maybe forgiven. He would have been able to get SSI. He would have been able to get help. You know, his mom would have been able to get paid for taking care of him or something. You know, situations would have been different. I forgot about that. He wasn't a citizen. He wasn't a citizen, but he was born here. His spirit is American. This is the way. This is the way. That's what he knew. But he couldn't get the SSI. He couldn't get help. I don't know. But yeah, we tried. I did. I needed somebody. I needed a friend. I needed somebody who I could trust. I needed somebody who I knew wasn't gonna hurt me. I knew somebody that would be understanding to me. Somebody that could be my helper. Somebody that could, you know, probably be maybe the more of the mouthpiece to the operation, as I could just maybe be the brains and I could be the labor or just the brains. I needed a spokesperson. I needed a right-hand man, you know. And that was George would talk about it. George even got fed up at everybody, even me, just being a human. Like, nobody's fucking helping me. So he would tell me, "Watch, I'm gonna get better. I'm gonna get better. I'm gonna get better, and I'm gonna fucking do it. I'm gonna do it." And when I did meet his son, I would tell him, you know, if I get work, I'll help you. Or do plumbing, bro. Do plumbing. I would tell his son, do plumbing, you know. careful, man. But not fuck that person though. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't want him to get ran over or nothing like that. You know what I'm saying? Just gonna get a double back or something. You know what I'm saying? But so he would say like I'm gonna try. I'm gonna. He just had that. He was just fed up. He's like, fuck this. Like I'm gonna do it. Like I'm gonna get better and I'm gonna fucking do it. Like and he had that. He could have done it on his own. You know what I'm saying? If he was healthy, we could have done it together, low key. And he would have used my license. I know he would have. He could talk good. He even got a couple jobs while he was not working. He got because he was just he got a couple jobs being in the situation that he was at. And but when you just have time and you can't work and you're just sitting there loathing yourself, you're gonna go back to those dark things that you know have comforted you in the past. And unfortunately, that was crack cocaine. That was crack cocaine. And that was the last time that I seen him. Last time I seen him was I remember when we were like going for jobs and stuff. He told me about his brother. His brother's a tweaker. His little brother, the one who lost his father, which was George's stepdad, who George respected because that stepdad was good to his mother. That stepdad provided a home, and who he told me his stepdad went to, I think, either Mexico or a different state. I think it might have been Mexico, and bailed him out of jail. They even visited him. So he had so much respect for that stepfather. And not, jail and all that. Just others good stepfathers. I'm saying he was the best stepfather. I'm not saying he was the worst stepfather. I'm just saying that was George's situation. But so, his younger brother had issues. He had issues with tweak. He was being a tweaker. I didn't know him to be a gangbanger or anything like that, but he was a tweaker, and when he did meth, he was mean. I guess he was mean to George. He would beat George up. And shit like that. Hurt George, and George was a fucking handicap. But George didn't let himself. He didn't let himself. I'm pretty sure he would just try to talk some sense into his brother. He would always tell me about his brother, like, man, my brother could work too. Like, my brother could work too. He's a beast worker, but he's got to stop doing drugs. And, your brother would go do county time for a little while, and he'll be like, I hope he's not going to be like that. He's going to change, Like, George was fucking a sweet dude, man. He was a fucking sweet dude, bro. And, yeah, I ended up just popping up on him. I literally, because what had happened was there was like another rumor again, him using. He would call me and say, Richards, he doesn't want to hire me. He's saying I'm using. And now I'm thinking about it, like right now at this split second, maybe he was high. He would call me often and be like, oh, you finally answered, finally picking up, and tell me about Richard, and like, oh, he did a job for him, but he shorted him because of the way he is. He can't move that much. And that was the first time I had seen George. The first time that I seen him was a job when he showed up with Richard, and that was the first time that I seen him. That was the first time. And he was a little embarrassed, you could tell. I mustn't say humble, but he was just a little embarrassed. He was a little embarrassed. And to see him that way hurt me. To see him that way was like, it was a fucked up thing.